Okay, pop it there. Okay. All right. Hi, people. This is Deborah. Let me read the disclaimer. All the information provided on this channel is for educational purposes only, and this channel does not promote or encourage misuse of the information. I will mention some alleged happenings today, and yes, I will give my opinion about some things. My thoughts matter, and so do yours. I will use words not intended to offend people, but to describe my point and how I see things. You should think with your intuition at all moments. Take what resonates and what does not resonate, put it on the shelf or throw it away. Now, to the Almighty Most High, expose those on this channel with wrong intent and expose and block all workers of hatred, jealousy, voodoo, spell work, witchcraft, and those who try to block people from what is due to them. Expose these behaviors to the people. Detach people with good intent from those with wrong intent, invisibly and visibly. Break all curses in the lives of those who have right intent. And as for those who have wrong intent, expose them and cause them to change for the better. Almighty Most High, activate the five senses in the people: vision, hearing, touch, smell, and taste, and the greater telephony, intuition, and clairvoyance in the people. Block all the work of molestation, rape, abuse, domination, stealing, and exploitation. Heal all those who have been victim of these horrible, monstrous behavior. Now, today, I want to talk about, let's see. Today, I want to talk about, this video is going to be freestyling 8 of 8. And the question is, should parents tell their children about sex and what age? Uh, Sex is a very, very sensitive subject. It's sensitive to the parent, and it will be probably just as sensitive with the parent trying to tell the child. But should we tell the children? Well, let me say what I have to say, and then as I'm saying what I'm saying, maybe some will come in for discussion. All right. Now, my thoughts is, as soon as children start learning to talk, you should teach them the names of their body parts. As soon as they start being around other kids, you can teach them about respecting other people and talking about their feelings. These things lay groundwork for healthy sexuality and relationship later on. Now, talking with your children about sex, relationships, and their health is a lifelong conversation. Doing a little bit at a time instead of having the talk takes the pressure off you and allows your children to process your value and information over time. Regular conversation also convey that this topic are important enough to keep bringing up and are a normal part of life. I know that this particular conversation is very sensitive. And because of all the exposures that the children are getting, like for me, I gave my grandchildren computers at a very, they wasn't even teenagers when I gave them computers. So they had access to the internet And the reason why I got the computers for them is because they always would ask me, Grandma, what's the meaning of this word? What's the meaning of that word? They didn't have cell phones at that time. So that's why I wound up buying them computers. And I would tell them, whenever you come across a word that you don't know the meaning of it, look it up. And that is what they have been doing. And their ages 22 and 25 now. And that's and 16. So that's what they've been doing. They actually look the words up, which I'm very happy about. And the thing of it is, uh, I did not mention things to them pertaining to sex. The school does that. If you don't do it, the school is going to do it their way. And I assure you, you don't want the school uh, giving information to your children that is very sensitive and very sacred and very personal. I just think parents should be the one to implement sex and the body parts to their children, not the school. And I realize that parents are busy and working, but it's just so important. I talk to so many young adults, male and female, and the molestation problem is very real. And whether you know it or not, well, let me just point out some things here. Um, you got gender stereotypes are pushed in the ads, the games, the TV, and the books and movies. When you see unrealistic portrayal of a very sexual uh, Photoshop, excuse me, a Photoshop picture of a model or whatever, because sex is on the rise and has been on the rise. And if your children are watching TV, that could be misconstrued, especially when they're going through puberty. And you got the ads that's going on for tampons and birth control and condoms. Those are initial uh, ads that say, okay, just go ahead on and have sex. You don't want nobody uh, telling your children to have sex. It's just so important to sit your child down and have conversation, bits and pieces of it. One of the things that I've learned that swarthy people, very few, uh, even the ones that went to college and graduate from college, very few of them sit down and have sexual conversations with their children. And that's why a lot of them go out there experimenting. I remember, I can talk about my son here. He told me, because we didn't talk about it. My son told me that when he was going through puberty, um, he had an erection, and he told me that he thought he was dying. And him and I laughed about it, but it's not funny, and so I was very guilty of not sharing that because I thought his father was going to do that, but he didn't. And also he needed to know things about people and people behavior, and what could possibly be a molestation approach, because what you don't realize, that you got the men, you got homosexual men that are pedophiles, and they go and find jobs that makes them readily accessible to children. And your children need to know that. They need to know if someone touched them. They need to come home and tell mommy or dad or both, or however. Uh, they place themselves in in jobs that makes them readily accessible to children, because that's what pedophiles do. The other thing that pedophiles do, they will attach themselves uh, to women that have children, and they will readily uh, do things to that child. That child needs to know that kind of stuff. Um, when I was growing up, there was this man that he was a friend of my mother, and I was crying, and he told me to come sit on his lap. And so when I sit on his lap, I was a child. When I sit on his lap, I realized he put his hand on my thigh. Now my mother didn't tell me about those type of suggestions, but he put his hand on my thigh, and I immediately got up from sitting on his lap. Nobody told me. I just knew it was wrong. But a lot of these children uh, don't use their instinct, don't use their intuition like that. I guess during my time period, probably a lot of children did, but this is what I found out. I found out in talking to the young adults, the homosexual young adults. Many of them became homosexuals. They feel because they were either molested by a uh, relative that they trusted, or they was molested by mama's boyfriend that mama trusted. And I'm not going to beat up on mama too much, but if you remember the movie Precious, showed you, and Monique played a very good part of that. She played it very well. It showed that the mother was married and the husband was molesting their daughter, and the child got pregnant by the father. I think it was two or three times. It's been a while since I've seen that movie. But anyway, Monique, when the young lady was trying to talk to her mother, the she just kept on insinuating, "You slept with my man. You slept with my man," not acknowledging all the pain and all the terror that the mother, the father had did to them. Do you know how that affect the child mentally? The very people that children are looking to secure them and protect them are the very people sometimes are the ones that's causing harm to them. The other movie that I saw was a movie that Tyler Perry did, and I forgot the name of the movie. But in the movie, the young lady was going to get married to a young man that had money. Well, she had money too because her father had left her money. But the oldest daughter, the mother had given the oldest the her husband wanted the older daughter, which wasn't his daughter, and the mother allowed him to molest the oldest daughter so she can have some type of material support. The mother did. And that went on some time. And I'm saying this to say this. You think that that is not going on among the swarthy people. It has been a secret. Swarthy people, many of them don't believe in psychology. My son was molested, and he's been in therapy for over 10 years now. And it is very real, and it is very damaging. And personally, parents should tell their children from the time they start walking. You should teach them their body parts and how important it is that because I look at the little babies now, when they're walking, they're talking, and they're actually responding to whatever the parents say to them, just really smart now. And I guess they was always smart, but they just more active now. Um, and I just think it's important to start with them as they begin to walk, because there was uh, a church here called the Perfect Church, and there was a preacher. I forgot his name. Anyway, he played on. They did a movie of him, and in his church, the man was horrible. He was molesting all the young girls. The preacher was. He was very abusive, and there was a young man that was a part of his church. The baby wasn't even 6 months. He actually molested that baby, a baby. Can you imagine a big old person molesting a baby? And I met two. My sister uh, had two little girls at her house years ago, and I had the one son only, and she told me that the mother had sold the two little girls to a drug dealer. And what he did, he molested them to the point where he tore their tissues, and they both had to go to the hospital to be sewed up. And I remember saying out my mouth, if someone did any child that I have like that, I'll kill them. Lo and behold, I did not know that it was going to happen to my son. And it did. And the thing of it is, you may be busy working, Mom, but just keep in mind, you are the protector of your child. Take it from a mother that knows. You are the protector of your child. It is your responsibility as a mother, because most fathers are gone out the household, but it's your responsibility as a mother to give information to that child and also make that child feel comfortable in coming back to communicate with you, because some mothers communicate things to their children and it makes them uncomfortable and they go outside of the house. You don't want your child going outside of the house, because the very person they go and tell may be the very person that may cause them harm. Excuse me. If you care about your children, it's important to provide the proper information for them, because you got predators everywhere. I mean, we can speak it in the atmosphere that they be caught, that they don't do it, and we can. But in the meantime, until they're caught and they're not able to do it, we need to educate them uh, as little children about sexuality, because it's real. Uh, I don't know if you guys remember. I said to you in a video before that I didn't understand why some guys do that stuff. And my little clitoris got so hard and it hurted so bad. And I said, oh, this is the pain that they're experiencing. So I don't know if that, and I asked my son about it. He said, yeah, the focus is to get rid of that pain. And so I'm glad I got to experience that, because I understand it better now. But there's so many women out there and that don't have a problem having intercourse. Uh, and I just don't understand why the molestation, why the rape, why the abuse. And I guess it has to do with the adrenaline rush within these people. Because from what I understand, the preacher himself that was doing all this abuse, he was a good looking guy. This man died of a horrible death. I'm not saying that's going to be the case for every person, but he did die of a horrible death. And I just think it's important that parents share uh, the things that they need to share. Grandmamas, granddaddies. If your children, your adult children, don't share with it, you encourage them to do it. Because I remember my oldest son, I actually went over to the school. Sometime I would volunteer when I had time, but I actually went over to the school and they were showing him videos, a whole TV of sex education without my permission. They do that without your permission. And they do that without your permission because you've given them right to do that by your social security card and your birth certificate because you gave them right when you signed it. And so, and that's what a lot of people don't know and understand. I put some more pointers here. The other thing, if you cannot be naive about whether your teenager is going to have sex or not. You just have to be realistic because some teenage children is going to try it, and some teenage children is not going to try it. But I can say, and the women can vouch for me, the first time is never fun. The first time is maybe fun just for the male, but it's not fun for the woman. The first time is it may be fun for the other. If two females are doing it, that may be fun because you don't have to worry about penetration. But if penetration is involved for the first time, it's painful, and ain't no pleasure coming out of it for the female, none. And that's why I just think all those little things that's going to take place, I think is important to share it with the children because of the exposure that's out there now. They putting stuff out there on the TV is just horrible. They putting stuff in the music, which is horrible that I hear children listen to. Now, parents like me, well, grandparents like myself, my ex-husband bought my grandkids cell phones. So they got cell phones at an early age. And the thing of it is, all it takes is a click away, uh, because they know how to put certain words, to look up certain things on their cell phones now. Because I taught them that at a very early age. And not just me, I'm sure other children out there doing the same thing. So I'm sure that they're watching, especially the little boys, uh, if they're going through puberty, uh, watching a naked female is fine for them. But I'm not saying it's fine for them. But I'm just saying for them it's fine. And I just think it's important that parents should alert the things that need to take place. Like for my son, he thought he was going to die when he had that, and he didn't know. And so we need to be able to alleviate some of these problems that take place with these children. You know, let's see what else. Okay, a lot of times, because these children have role models on TV, that becomes their role model because mommy and daddy is at work, and so the TV is what they have. And then if mommy and daddy bought them cell phones, then that's what they have. They don't watch TV; they watch whatever they watch on the cell phones. So with that exposure going on, they could. Uh, I don't know whether you know or understand this, but subliminal messages can be very demonic. Spirits can come through telephone, spirits can come through TVs, spirit can come through computers, spirit can come through anything. And one of the things that the low level entities do is this, is they operate in this sexual world, in the sexual realm. And the more sex you have, the more that entity comes in and pervert it even more, even with the children. And so you think you know your children. You don't know what your children is doing when they take that cell phone and they go in their room and they shut the door. And they may be 7, 8, 9 years old. You don't know what they're doing. But I just think it's important to share with them uh every little step, because every little step is important. Even though your mother and your father didn't tell you, because mine didn't either, uh you got to always do better than. And that's how I feel. You have to do better than. But anyway, I wanted to come in and make those little comments. And so the next time, we will talk a little bit more about the uh the Indians. All right, have a good one.